none other than Carole and Whooverville.
I'll make yourself comfortable.
Can I pop you there, John? Is that all right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is that all right? It's just so. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
He's listening, I like these. Makes me feel like a
Choice.
sports commentator. Well, I've had the privilege and pleasure of having these sort of conversations with you in the past at other events, but it's always been with other people on the panel as well. So it's the first time I've ever had you all to myself for an interview. How exciting! Well, with the exception of 100 people in the room watching, who will also have lots of questions, I assume. Well, I'm going to start bang up to date because this week, Big Finish have just released the latest box set of Susan's War.
Oh, yeah, very excited. Oops. So I think my zip just went.
Well,
Her eyes froze.
so it's the second box set you've done with Big Finish. How's that
It
going?
might even be the third.
Oh, it's the third, okay.
I seem to be doing them all the time.
So, obviously you've done quite a lot of episodes now with Big Finish and more hours of audio. So how have they, in their script, expanded the character of Susan, do you think?
Oh, it's a joy to work with them because this is what they do. They take you beyond the limits that are obviously there. If you're doing it on screen, I'm sorry, my voice is gone. And you do the most marvellous things with your character that you've never done before. And it's a joy, it's just terrific, love it.
And also you have the privilege of taking the character from a young schoolgirl to now to a mother herself. Susan has her own son and the character's age.
Yeah.
How has it been changing the way that you play the character? Or have you changed the way that you play the character? Is it essentially the same person?
Well, it is essentially the same person, but you're always coloured by your experiences, and she, of course, gets very emotional when she's talking about her husband and her son, who she's both lost, both of. And it got quite dicey for me in one of the recording sessions because I lost my own husband fairly recently, and we were recording a particularly emotional scene. And I mean, it was required for me to be emotional in that particular moment. So it was more than easy for that to happen.
Obviously, then that's the actor's role, isn't it, to take life experiences and turn them into art. But that's particularly poignant for a very weak word.
If you listen to it, you'll see the moment, or you'll hear the moment.
Well, I've got mine on order, so as soon as it arrives, I'll be listening to that next week when I start work again. You've done a lot of Big Finish now, and what's it like now to be the central character? You're the lead rather than being one of 4 characters as you were on television.
It's always nice to be the centre of attention.
That's what I like having you to myself right now, actually. Now, you talk about how the characters change. Now, in Doctor Who recently, we've seen that the Doctor can change into many, many different forms.
And how?
And indeed, of course, we have Jodie Whittaker. What do you think Susan would have called Jodie? Would it have been grandmother or grandfather?
I don't know, what else would it be? I think also she might have asked Jodie what she would like her to call.
Yes.
He called.
What are your pronouns?
Yeah.
But that also opens up the question, of course, if Susan were, to regenerate himself, Susan could be played by a male actor.
No!
It might make the name a little bit different. You'd have to be the Susan instead. You wouldn't want to see that happen.
No, I would not.
No.
After waiting all this time, I want to come back as me.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Or meeting a future incarnation, I suppose, is a possible option.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Now, I know that in events like this we talk a lot about, obviously, Doctor Who, but you've done so much else as well. and when I was doing my homework, you've got an extensive CV of theatre work.
Yeah.
That's covered a wide range. So what have been your theatre highlights?
Well, I absolutely adored doing Espresso Bongo. I don't know if anybody saw that in the theatre a long time ago. I did it when I was 16. I was in the West End when I was 16. And I loved every single second of it. Because, you know, I get very passionate about what I'm doing, especially a musical, which is what it was. And I couldn't get enough of it. And I think the other cast members grew to hate me because sometimes the director was very conscientious and he'd go and sit out front, watch a performance, and if there was something he wanted to tweak, he called extra rehearsals. And all the other casts were going, and I'm going, yeah, extra rehearsals, great. I couldn't get enough of it.
The enthusiasm of youth, something. Now, forgive my ignorance, but if you were in the West End at 16, how old were you when you started acting professionally?
Well, the first film I did, I was 8.
Right.
Yeah. First TV, 16.
And what was the first role when you were 8 years old?
It was in a film called The Last Load. I think it's been on in one of those, you know, old film programs, black and white film programs, talking pictures or something.
Do you recall what you had to do in that?
Oh, not much, but it was terribly thrilling for me. Yeah, it was a cockiness bit. I mean, I was supposed to be a young girl at a party, singing a thing called, just after the war, singing a song called Run Rabbit Run.
Okay.
And the older people in the front there know Run Rabbit Run. Okay. Should we have a sing-along? Yeah? Are you up for it? Right, that's all right. Go on, that was lovely. Carry on. Come on. I've got some throat.
It's suddenly turned into the good old days. Remember that show on BBC?
Yeah.
For decades, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I got my mum to watch that on a Sunday night. So, that was your first professional role.
Yeah.
And that's an obvious question, but how did you get into acting in the first place? When did the bug bite?
Oh, I think I came out of the womb wanting to. That's all I ever wanted to. Just not quite true. I also wanted to be a vet at one time. I wanted to be an artist at one time. And then I thought I'd combine the two. I'd be an artist and a vet. And then all three, I'd be an artist and a vet, painting horses and dogs, which are my favourite animals. And then I extended that into every animal under the sun. I paint one of them. And it just got ridiculous. I never really knew what I wanted to do. I think if anybody said to me now, what do you really want to do? I said, I don't know, just hand me a script and I'll probably say yes.
I'm nodding because that's basically similar to myself. And I was expecting, I think, my family to go down the arts route, to go to art school. And in the sixth form, I very much moved more into the drama side of things and ended up studying drama and theatre studies at Warwick. And that's what I do now. I tell stories in schools and nurseries and do creative. I'm an artist in residence, basically. And do you still paint and do creative work? He says, keep talking while you're having a sip.
I'll have no voice left at all in a minute. Not much. That's the answer, basically. Occasionally do it, but you know, I get very dissatisfied with what I'm doing. I just chuck it away because
What's that?
Perfectionist, I suppose. I still have something in my head that I want to do and it doesn't come out on paper, so I just chuck it away.
What sort of subjects would you choose?
Oh God. It might be something representative, like animals, people, landscapes, or it might be totally non-representative, like shadows, fishes, sploshes, flashes, scrapes, and dots and dashes.
Well, you've mentioned animals several times now, and that's obviously a big passion of yours, still is. And I gather that you were a keen rider.
Yeah, that's my dog.
Oh, who's this?
That's Luna, my dog. My two daughters bought her for me, and I love her. I don't like to go anywhere without her.
Is she? Oh, I thought she was in the green room. I'd have been there straight away.
Like I told, she'd like to get on stage and be part of the action. Actually, I had a dog once who did that very thing. He was a very splendid and very regal Afghan hound. And for a time I bred Afghan hounds. And he was from a litter of 11. And he was the most stunning, wonderful, amazing dog in the whole world. And he was very talented, and he was a brilliant actor. He was. I was rehearsing a play at the time, and the director, who was a complete nutcase, I must say. I don't think he's anywhere around to deny that, but he was, take it from me, he was. And we were trying to get rehearsals done, and this director kept disappearing. And I said, "Where do you go when you disappear?" He said, "Oh, don't ask." I said, "I'm asking, where do you go?" And he said, "Oh, well, I'm in trouble." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I do need a hound for this production, and I can't find anywhere that's got what I want." And I said, "Well, you could use my dog." He said, "What is it?" I said, "Well, he's an Afghan hound." And he said, "Oh my goodness, you will." I said, "Okay, we'll meet him first." So we met him and decided he liked him. And it was amazing. It was a form of the M play, which we don't mention, obviously. And it was a quite extraordinary version of it, and it was at the Globe Theatre. And this director wanted there to be a battle scene, which was so bizarre. I mean, it was a battle scene which had a lady pushing a full supermarket trolley through the battle scene, which was weird enough, but he also wanted there to be an elegant hound walking through all this, and there were guns firing and people shouting and screaming and having sword fights and being killed all over the place. And he said, "I don't think anybody thinks their dog will be able to do it." I said, "My dog would." He said, "Do you think so?" I said, "Yeah, sure, of course. He'll do anything I want." Cross my fingers. So anyway, we went into rehearsals with my dog, and I taught him, well, I made him aware that on the other side of the stage was going to be a juicy lump of steak if he went from me in the wings on the other side towards this steak at a certain cue. And he soon learned how to do that. And then we had actors going on and doing as much screaming and shouting and banging as possible. And he still did it, and he still did it. And he actually went on and did it, and he was saying, "Oh, sorry." He put in his own bits, so he walked very, if anybody knows an Afghan hound, you know how they walk. He walked terribly elegantly across the stage, stopped in the middle of the stage, looked around at the audience, and then just walked on. And this was with cannons firing and people screaming and shouting and having sword fights. You know, every night he went on, and he loved it, and he got his bit of steak, and he was very happy. Anyway, I was in my dressing room getting ready to go and do my bit, and I heard an announcement over the tannoy saying, "Look, artists, just please be aware, the people going on for the battle scene, there's been some glass broken on stage, so be careful." And I thought, well, he's not going like that, he's not going to cut his paws. So I told the director, "I'm sorry, he was called Samson. Samson's not going on tonight because he might cut his paws." And he said, "Oh, okay." However, Samson wasn't told it wasn't going on. And he was in my dressing room, and he was a very clever boy. And he knew exactly when he was supposed to get on. He knew when his cue was coming up, and he was scratching at the dressing room door, wanting me to get out. I said, "Sorry, Dan, you're not doing it." And he sort of looked at me and said, "You're crazy, I want to do it, I want that steak." Anyway, he was seriously unhappy. He heard his cue come and go. He heard the guns firing at the time he was supposed to be in the middle of the stage going to the audience. And he was really, really upset. And when Afghans get upset, there's something to be contended with. So anyway, I said to the cast, "Look, would you do me please a big favour? In the interval, would you please just go on stage so he can do his bit?" And they said, "Okay, fine." So So anyway, they did that, but of course the curtains were drawn, weren't they, for the interval. So he went on, he got to the middle, he went to look at the audience. No audience, just a curtain. So he did the biggest double take you've ever seen, and tried to barge through the curtain. The fire wall was down as well. So he was, but he was okay. As soon as he got his steak, he was okay. But I mean, how about that? He knew exactly when his cue was.
And had learned to pick his part up as well as the performance went on. I like
Absolutely.
that. Particularly. So, your latest dog, do you think has got any acting ability?
She's got tremendous smelling ability.
Oh, okay.
She's a real fabulous sniffer. No, she's great. And she's a good hugger and kisser too. And a fantastic tail wagger.
My current dog is a Staffy and a Spaniel. And she's quite crazy, but lovely, 4 years old. Yeah, we often say that she's more of a pub dog than a park dog. There's a few pubs in Birmingham City Centre she's a regular at. She'll greet people at the door, take them to the bar. She's like the unofficial dog. But on one occasion, this guy came to the door and she went for him. She went for his heels, chased him off down the street. I was mortified. I got her, I'm so sorry, and dragged her back in and went to the staff. And I was so, they were just grinning. I went, no, he's barred. He's a real trouble. If we got in here, it would have taken us street wardens, police, and over an hour to get him out. They were like,
how would she know?
Exactly, I don't know. She could smell out a baton straight away.
Incredible.
I really thought I was in trouble. I'm so sorry. Well, on that note, should we throw the questions out to the audience? Anyone wants to start the ball rolling? Hello.
Hey, Carole.
Hi. Hello. Find my light, I think. Yeah, thing is, because I know if you've watched it, you must know that I was the smallest member of the foursome. And when we were being lit, it was very rudimentary lighting anyway. We didn't get individual lighting like doing films. On a film set, you get all sorts of people coming around and there's this meter and that meter. And you've got to, the light has to bounce off you at exactly the right. I'm probably talking. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
You do? Oh, then I don't need to tell you. I could probably have you up here and you can tell me. Yeah, so I've got one. What were we talking about? Oh, yes. But of course, if they're lighting 4 people and they're all that height, and there's this annoying creature who's down there, they're going to carry on lighting the 4 people, not the person who's down there. And in any case, I don't know what they do about the lights. I mean, you only have limited ways of doing lights. It's not like on the screen lighting, you know, when they've got, what are the names of them? Bad boys and all sorts of things around that they can light you with. You must know the names. They have wonderful names for them. Best boy, not bad boy, best boy. So there's somebody else knowledgeable. Some more names. Who was it, you?
Yes, it was me. Key Grip and things like
Sorry?
that. There are people called Grips.
Oh, people called grips. I'm talking about the particular lights they have. Who? Redheads.
Yes, red.
Yeah.
Blondes. we call them.
Blondes, yeah, there you are. You see? So they all give a different intensity of light. And you can do that. In any case, when you're doing screen work, you're only doing it in little bits anyway and then putting it together later on. So you can mess about with it as you want and cut out the bits you don't like. Well, you can't do that in television. Well, you couldn't when I was doing it anyway. Yes, so the consequence was that I was never properly lit. And you therefore missed an awful lot of my facial expressions. And they didn't go much for close-ups in those days either.
Well, you're certainly catching the light this afternoon. You're radiant and sparkling in this suit.
Goody.
I told you this was planned. That's how to get the focus perfectly.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Choose my things very carefully for conventions.
Right, another question from the audience. Oh, over there.
Hi, Carole. What are your memories about filming?
Can you put your hand up? I can't see you. Oh, you're there, sorry.
What are your memories about filming St. Trinian's?
Oh, right. Yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun. It wouldn't be my first choice for a career move, but it was tremendously good fun. There was a scene which was not good fun, I think this has been documented, but I'll tell it again anyway. There was a scene where the girls were all kicking off, and to get them in hand, they brought up a power hose, and they drenched them with water. Well, them being us, we actors, we were absolutely drenched to the skin with this blooming water. And then where it was filmed was in the manor house at Pinewood, which is a long way from where the dressing rooms and things are, so we had to walk from there in the freezing cold, soaking wet. And I think most of us got colds, if not pneumonia, after that. So yeah, that was memorable, if not in the best way.
And assuming with the way that films are made, you never just do something once. You must have had to do that repeatedly.
Oh, they thoroughly drenched. No, but I'll tell you something, they got such spontaneous reactions from people with that one drenching. I don't think they needed to do it again.
Now, there was another question. Front here. Hello there.
Hi.
In the latest series of Doctor Who, there were breadcrumbs laid or red herrings as far as Susan were concerned. I'm just wondering, did any of that bleed into your real life? Were there any interesting conversations down the supermarket or in the street where people were trying to get information out of you?
Oh, people are trying to get information out of me all the time. My lips are sealed. That's all I can say. I mean, the thing is, if there was anything to hide, I couldn't be talking about it anyway, because I had to hide it. But then if I say, I'm saying nothing about it, immediately people say, oh, well, that probably means there is something. I can't win, whatever I say.
I'm not trying to do that, I'm just...
All I can say is, if you want me back, please get in touch with Russell. He does listen, he does pay attention, so he would love to hear from you. He loves feedback.
I think everybody wants Susan back, and whatever, it doesn't matter what mystery it is since the show's come back, any mystery hand, any silhouette, any figure, it's Susan, it's Susan, it's Susan.
I've heard the grey lady is supposed to be me.
Yeah.
She's
Everyone.
not.
There's another question over here.
Hi, Carole. If you ever did come back to Doctor Who, would you like if your Big Finish storyline was incorporated into the TV show?
Oh God, I would say big Finnish writers writing for me, yes. Absolutely.
Another question over here.
Like the Bond girls, the Doctor Who companions over the course of the years became...
I don't think we're anything like the Bond.
That's not the illusion I was about to make, but it became a big thing. After, obviously, you were the first. Do you remember at what point you became aware of the fact that you had started this thing? It's just gone on to spiral into like this line of companions. That every time there's a new one, there's a massive amount of press about it.
Yeah.
You were at the start of that. Do you think about that?
Not really.
Was there a point at which you realised that you started that you were the first? Because you wouldn't have known it at the time.
No,
would you?
you never do know when you're the first or something.
Although, obviously the BBC was launching this new show that they were hoping was going to be a success. I mean, they could have never predicted how successful it went on to be. But was it a big publicity drive and a big launch to the press back in '63?
There was quite a big one, yeah.
And on public appearances?
Oh, yes. I never got to. I had a child at the time. I had a little baby girl, and I never got to see her because I was either working, rehearsing, and filming in the week, or doing some kind of promotional thing for the BBC at the weekend. So I took to taking her with me.
And what sort of things would they have you doing the weekend? What sort of, would you be opening fates?
Yes, that sort of thing. Yes, yeah, dates, shops, anything. A letter.
Lots of scissors and ribbons are going on.
What's what?
Lots of scissors and ribbons.
Yeah, that's
Opening up things.
yeah.
Okay. Before I go back to the audience, can I just talk to you about something you've been working on with another, with your Harvard companion, Peter Purvis?
Yeah.
You were working on Henry's House.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's such a brilliant thing. I hope it goes all the way. This thing. I mean, it's a series, potentially a TV series, about a care home for elderly people and people who are having problems in all sorts of areas. And the great thing is that it was done with the premise that they were going to use people who had special needs as much as they can within the film, as well as in supporting artists, actually helping in all sorts of ways, you know, as crew members and things like that. And it was the most brilliant thing to do. It was absolutely lovely. I met some great people there. Fantastic.
And I'm right in saying it's a comedy, is that right?
It is a comedy. You think it's a funny idea for a comedy. It works. There's some funny things going on, and Peter Hurst, who's playing the lead in it, is wonderful. And he's got so many talents that none of us realised he had, including wrecking the joint, which he did very well.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you. Right, another question. Oh, lots of that. Up there. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, you.
Could you hand up again, can't see?
Hi.
Are you there? Hi.
Out of your roles in TV, film and musical theatre, which was the hardest or most competition to get those roles?
Ooh. Because you don't know what's going on sort of behind the scenes, do you? I don't know. Oh, I suppose musical theatre, because you have to be multi-talented. You have to be able to act and dance, or as they sometimes put it, move. They're very funny, some of these casting directors. I mean, they sometimes seem to be a little bit frightened of saying, you know, you are a dancer, yes. They don't mind saying, you can move, you're a mover. Yes. But you know, and you know exactly what they mean, because I mean, after they said that, they then said, well, if we play a bit of music, will you dance to it? Yeah. Okay. So, you know, you have to show that you can act and sing and dance. So it's quite a big ask.
Did you find that most rewarding?
Yeah, I love doing musicals. Love it. My first love. Really.
Just going back to the previous point, we were talking about animals and horses. Have you ever been able to use your horse skills in a role? Has that ever helped with casting?
No, unfortunately not. Nobody's never asked me to ride in a film, which is a nuisance. I mean, all sorts of other things. I mean, I've said it many times, but I'll say it again. I mean, in the beginning, when I was first asked to come along and talk about Doctor Who, possibly playing it, they promised me all sorts of amazing things I was going to be doing, that I would be incredibly physically capable, which at the time I was. I don't say so much now. But then I was very capable of doing anything they wanted me to do. I was a trained dancer. I was a very good swimmer. And I was a pretty good horsewoman too. So I could have done, I mean, can you imagine galloping away from the Daleks? That would be so much more fun than running down corridors. And I could have jumped into the Thames and swum away from them. I could have done all sorts of interesting things which they never asked me to do. As I say, not so much now, but I'm trying to get fit.
Would you have really fancied jumping in the Thames in the 1960s though?
Probably not. Actually, it's probably cleaner than it is now. Oh. Mind you, with the amount of dead bodies being chucked into the Thames at that time. Hence the notice in the film. I mean, yeah.
Forget my story, just to ask. We can all embellish our CVs. That's what CVs are for. And actors will all say, oh yes, I can ride horses. You can. Yes, I can ride a motorbike. I've got my own leathers. Yes, I can pilot a helicopter. What is the biggest fib you've told to get yourself a job?
Yeah. I was desperate to do a commercial, because commercials used to pay a hell of a lot of money. I think they still do. And at that time, at the beginning of my career, and I was saying yes to everything. And I was asked, they wanted me to ice skate in this particular thing. And I said, yeah, of course. I thought, I'll learn how to ice skate before I do the thing. I'll be able to do it fine. So when I got to the studio, it was a very small rink, so not much room for making mistakes. And what they wanted me to do was go to the very end of the rink and skate up to the camera and come to a halt just in front of the camera. We can imagine what happened to the poor cameraman. Yeah.
Right, there was another question on that row. Hello.
What's your fondest memory of William Russell?
Oh, bless him. So many. His sense of humour, I guess. And also he was, can you put your arm up? Because I'll go there, sorry. He had a wonderful twinkle about him. You know, he found everything, or he found something to laugh at about everything, especially when things were going wrong. He found everything hysterically funny. And again, he kept trying to push me into my light. He was also well aware that he was casting a shadow over me, so he'd sort of get me from behind, steer me this way, steer me that way. Yeah, interesting time. He was just a delightful man to work with. Caring of everybody, you know. I mean, obviously aware that he had a role to play and it was an important one, but being very caring about, you know, what your part in it was too. Really sweet man.
I was recently doing an interview with Colin Baker,
Oh, yeah.
and Colin said when he first met William Russell at a convention, he was really starstruck. He was the most starstruck he'd ever been, because he'd grown up watching him on Lancelot.
Lancelot.
Did you watch that as well?
I've never seen it. No, I'm dying to see it.
So you weren't starstruck when you saw it?
Well, I was struck, that's for sure. When I first met him, I just went, oh. Unfortunately, they never allowed Susan's interest to go in that direction. Respect and pleaded. You know, she's a 15-year-old girl. She has a teacher who looks like that and is like that. She would have a huge crush on him, yes? Yes. And wouldn't that have been fun to play? Yeah, I was never allowed to do it.
You haven't failed with a teacher, it's not Grange Hill. Right, another question for the audience, please. Hello there.
Yeah, so obviously you didn't get to ride horseback quite late to die. So what was the most fun you had when you were on the show?
Turning a Dalek upside down. I don't know if you saw, there was an episode where we all three of us were trapped in this sort of prison-like place, and we realised that they couldn't go over any surface that was not completely flat. So we could throw grit in front of them, rubble, whatever, and they couldn't move. And at that time, before they decided to make hover Daleks, that time they couldn't go upstairs, so it was pretty easy to get away from them upstairs. Perhaps the most fun was to rehearse with them, with little men inside. You know, proper human beings, I mean, I don't mean fictional little men. And it was just so hysterical to watch. And especially when they were doing the voice, like, exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. And we had many fun times.
I adore the fact that you just asked the audience whether they'd seen it. This is a room of people who've had the VHS.
Well, you don't necessarily get to see every single episode. Or do you have seen every single episode, Doctor? Oh my goodness, aren't you amazing? Oh, if I need to do any research, I'll come. Please leave your names up.
Right, more questions from the audience. Hello there.
Hi, so obviously just last year we had the Daleks restoration in colour.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that, so it wasn't like seeing all that again, but like dark colour for the first time.
Not only have I seen it, but when I was watching the premiere of Star Beast, Phil, the man who responded, is Phil here? No? Who was, I can't remember his surname. Any hand up to give me the surname of Phil, who was responsible for the colouring?
Collinson.
Collinson? Thank you. Who was that? Hand up. Thank you. He was sitting next to me, and I was watching it and full of admiration for it, and it was a most stunning thing. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Oh God, amazing. And I was so excited on the edge of my seat watching it. And every so often I'd start screaming, and he'd sort of turn around to me and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're reacting like that. That's what we hoped would happen." But then I'd be laughing at something, and again he said, "Oh, you're still enjoying it. That's good." made you feel a bit self-conscious watching it. Am I making the best reaction here? But yes, that's good fun. Yeah, I think it's been beautifully done. Except they put Jackie into a baby pink top, which she would have screamed at and probably set fire to. I noticed somebody seems to have listened to what I said, because I noticed, seeing the most recent photographs that I've been signing for you, they had Jackie dressed in blue. Not a sign of pink anywhere.
Why would she have been so averse to pink?
Oh, I know lots of women who are averse to pink. My granddaughter is very averse to pink. She won't go anywhere near anything pink. You know, they want to be funky females. And she's a tomboy. And she climbs trees and she gallops around on horses, same as her grandma did. And she doesn't want to be considered a namby-pamby female, a weak woman. You know, she does everything she can to prove that she's not weak. Sometimes it's quite terrifying. Like climbing huge trees or something.
Yeah, with your heart in your mouth watching
all
that.
the time. And they keep telling you not to be so nervous, not to worry so much.
That's your job as a
That's what I keep saying. If I'm not nervous now, when can I be? It's like when I give them too many sweets or something. Or give them some pocket money a bit too soon or something, you know. That's what grandparents are for, isn't it? To spoil the grandchildren?
Yeah, absolutely. That's in the job description.
Yeah.
Right, another question. Hello?
What was it like working with Jacqueline Hill, and your memories of her?
Oh, I was so fond of Jackie. She was a lovely, lovely lady. As well as being a fabulous actress, she was the kindest, most thoughtful lady. And I remember we used to have a lot of visiting artists, and quite a lot of them were quite sort of nervous about coming into a set cast, you know. And she was aware of this, because she said, I remember that I did a couple of series where I came into it when all the cast were picked, and they were like a clan, you know. I mean, they all knew each other terribly well, and as an outsider, you did feel like an outsider. And she said, I vowed then that it happened to me that I was part of a series and we had visiting people, I'd be as welcoming as possible. And I thought that was a really nice thing to say, and she did this and we did this. We did welcome everybody who came to join us for a while. And it was really nice. Except that I went over the top, of course. I used to run up to everybody, give them great big hugs, knock them over sometimes. Which is what I used to do with Bill all the time, you know. When he was my grandfather, I'd run up to him screaming, "Grandfather!" Big hug. And sometimes he couldn't speak afterwards for a while. But it's all good fun. Yeah?
So years later, Jacqueline Hill came back to the program and did a story with Tom Baker. William Russell was supposed to do one with Peter Davidson, but he couldn't make it. Would you have liked to come back, somebody like to do a one-off story, or were you ever at?
Well, you did, with the Five Doctors.
Yeah,
How was it working alongside the same doctor, but obviously a different actor? A new grandfather?
Well, Pat, of course, Pat Troughton I had worked with before in a totally different production. It was some kind of a crime thing, I don't remember it at all. The only thing I remember about it is that, I mean, in those days, I wouldn't have been sitting here quietly holding a mic like this. I'd have been talking to you like that, you know, use my hands like an Italian or something, you know. Sorry, any Italians here, I'm not being rude to you, it's just when you talk, you do well. Do this. And if you're an actor and you're performing with other actors and you're doing all this business going on, as happened in a scene I was doing with Pat, I'm afraid I punched him in a place that no gentleman wants to be punched. So at the time he didn't say or do anything, but as soon as we came off from rehearsing, he grabbed me and he said, "You use your hands a lot." I'm afraid I do, yeah. I didn't even know I'm doing it. He said, "Evidently not." And then he took both of my hands and put them behind my back and tied them together. He said, "Now act." Now act. I was telling his son Michael this, and he laughed and he said, "Yeah, he's done the same thing to me."
Well, that's a class I don't teach at RAD, isn't it? Right, we've got 5 minutes left. Hello.
Presumably you remember your last scene as Susan in the original series.
Oh, yes.
When you had to say goodbye to the TARDIS crew. Were you getting upset? I mean,
I was. More than I had anticipated I would be, actually.
Right, yeah.
I think mostly because of Bill's performance, and he was wonderful.
So you had a farewell do, right, I guess, following that, with the rest of the crew.
Oh, they were all too busy with what they're doing, you know. I mean, they were all still performing, obviously, so. I think we went to the pub for a drink. They were Chinese.
Right, we have time for a few more questions. Look, there's one right at the back, an enthusiastic hand just shot up.
Over there?
Yeah,
Very back, right.
I was just wondering,
Is there a mic can go round at the back? Has anyone got a mic?
Shout out.
Travelling mic.
I was just wondering, during the Five Doctors, you obviously worked with Richard Herndon because William Hartnell had passed away.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, what was it like working with a different actor playing a character that,
Well, Richard was absolutely marvellous. You're right, okay.
I'm on now.
We actually travelled in the same taxi to get to the studios for rehearsals and things, and he was desperate to do the right thing. He didn't want to let you, i.e. his fans, down, and he wanted to do it right. And he was clutching onto me for help and saying, please tell me if I go wrong, please, please. And he wasn't trying to do an impersonation of Bill. He just wanted to get the essence of him. And I think he did a brilliant job. Do you agree?
Yes.
I think he was really excellent. So from that point of view, it was pretty easy. And the great thing is that he was a tactile actor too. You see, Bill and I don't know if you understand what it means being a tactile actor. Bill and I were both tactile actors, and so he was always touseling my hair, touching my shoulders, and I was always running up to him and giving him big hugs and things, you know. It's actors who like to sort of touchy-feely actors, I suppose you could say, you know. And of course, it's terrible if you get an actor who is a tactile actor with somebody who is not a tactile actor. Then it's quite difficult because it's sort of, oh, why are you touching me? Why are you doing this? You know? So I think you really have to have a little discussion before you start playing to get it all sorted out. But Richard Handel was a tactile actor too. He was lovely to work with. So it was very nice.
I suppose the natural follow-on question to that is, what do you think of David Bradley's performance as William Hartnell and the original Doctor in the modern day show?
I haven't seen so much of that, so it's difficult for me to say.
Right. Another question. In fact, I think it's time for our last question. Should we go? Oh, what do you think? Back again. Hello.
Adventure in Space and Time. What was it like seeing someone else playing you?
Weird. It's not what you expect in your lifetime, is it? To see somebody playing you. Very weird, that's what I can say. I think she made a very good stab at it, but I would like to see it again.
Right. Okay. Do we have time for one more question?
Go on.
Yeah, you got it. Front row. Hello there.
Did I like it? Like doing it? Yes, I loved it. Although I would have liked them to ask me to do a few more different things. I felt she was doing the same thing all the time, not being really different. And also, her story was always the same. She would be taken to a strange alien place, and she'd be told not on any account to go out and explore and find out on her own. And she would always do that and get into trouble, and they would always then follow her and get her out of trouble, and it was the same each time. So I was really hoping they would find something different for me to do. And don't forget the ankle. I've got a bad ankle at the moment, that's why I got my stick. But my ankle was shot in the car also.
Well, thank heavens for Big Finish. You have certainly given the character a lot more to do, a lot more scope to be the lead. We are out of time. I wanted to say it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you, likewise.
And thank you for some brilliant questions from the audience. Can we please put our hands together, not only for a Doctor Who companion, but the original companion and granddaughter, no less, please, Carole.
Dark Sunlight. Like as if it's, what's it?
I might take a look.